Ayush Goel.
Good afternoon, sir.
Love
Good afternoon, sir.
Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Ayush, you are 22-year-old. This is your first chance.
Yes, sir.
You're already working as an analyst at JP Morgan Chase.
Yes, sir. So I worked there. I left last December.
Why did you leave it?
Sorry, sir.
Why did you leave it?
Sir, basically I worked there for 7 months. I think it was a really good job. I really liked the finance part of it because I did my economics as well. But the kick I was not getting out there. I was not able to make impact there because I was dealing mostly in finance, that too for a US company. So I probably wanted to do something in India, and my interest lies in education sector. I did my schooling from a government school itself. So I wanted to contribute something to my country. So I think this is one of the very good opportunity where I can.
You probably would have a good prospectus in that company, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Do you tell us something about JP Morgan Chase?
Yes, sir. Sir, JP Morgan Chase is one of the biggest financial bank of the world. It provides range of services such as commercial banking, investment banking, and consumer banking. So they have one of the biggest balance sheet in the world as well.
What happened to it in 2008?
Sir, 2008 great financial crisis, the banking crisis, wherein most of the banks went bankrupt due to some of the irregularities in the financial system. So basically they issued mortgage-backed obligation, collateralized debt obligation, which were the product which was not AAA rated, but they were sold as AAA rated. And that is why they were giving so low interest rate. But when the default started and the housing scam revealed in US markets, that's when most of the banks started collapsing.
Good. You studied in Pratibha Vikas Vidyalaya, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What is it? What is the objective of setting up this Pratibha Vikas Vidyalaya, and how does it work?
So basically, Pratibha Vikas Vidyalaya are the model school by the government of Delhi. They were started in 1997-98. Currently, there are 19 schools of Pratibha. So they are directly in competition with the private school, best of the private school. They have the best infrastructure facility, as well as the teachers are selected after 10 years of experience. So they provide a quality education for the marginalized sections of the society.
How are they different from the schools of excellence?
Yes, sir. So, sir, basically, Pratibha Vikas Vidyalaya currently has been converted in School of Specialized Excellence. There were 19 Pratibha Vikas Vidyalaya, and they are divided into 4 different streams, such as humanity, STEM, 21st century skills, and performing and visual arts. So, they have been divided because they were chosen because they had the best infrastructure of the government school in Delhi. So now they have been converted to SOSA, which is known as Ambedkar School of Specialized Excellence.
Excellence. Okay. You said while in college you led a marketing campaign for reusable menstrual cups. Tell us something about it.
So, sir, menstrual cups are an alternative to sanitary napkin or the plain cloth which are used by women. So there is this company called PSafe which gave us the case study to increase the adoption of menstrual cups. We had a target segment of urban female.
This is a commercial company?
Yes, sir. There is a commercial company named PSafe. So we had a target segment for which we had to design a marketing strategy for the menstrual cups. And we basically focus on social media campaigns to target them. We signed some sportswomen as the brand ambassador because they are one of the biggest consumer to the menstrual cups. Then we also showed the doctor video of menstrual cups because one of the challenges they face, they don't even know how to use it, as well as the fear of inserting certain plastic-like component in their body. So we hired expert doctor and had their videos on Instagram. So that is how our campaign started to increase the adoption.
What was the impact?
Sir, we did the planning part, and currently the campaign is going on. The sales has increased significantly, but the impact as we predicted, it did not increase as much as we predicted, but it definitely gave boost to the impact to the company.
You were expecting higher sales of the product.
Yes, sir.
That didn't happen.
Yes, sir.
You are fond of reading biographies.
Yes, sir.
Which biography you read recently?
Sir, I read the Karam Yogi by E. Sridharan sir, who is also called the Metro Man of India.
What are the salient points? What impressed you most?
Sir, 3 points I think. Firstly is humility. Despite reaching such a high position, he still continued for work for the government because he retired before working in the Delhi Metro, and he still worked while many of the people were hiring him for the German as well as the Japanese railways. But he still worked for 1.5 lakh rupees salary. So that shows his passion toward the nation. Sir, secondly is technical knowledge. He focused on having the superior technical knowledge than the rest of the world. Initially, India did not have that kind of technical knowledge in metro railways, but currently many of the companies are learning from the Delhi Metro. So I believe having good technical knowledge and humility, as well as the inclusive leadership style, were the salient features of the biography.
India has been importing oil from Russia despite sanctions and global criticism.
Yes, sir.
What is your opinion? Should we go against the global opinion in the matter and for the sake of a few pennies?
Sir, I think the first objective of Indian foreign policy or as a nation should be to the benefit of our citizens. India do not propose to buy oil directly from Russia, but India want to buy the best deal of oil. And that is what our honorable foreign minister also has said, that we want to have the best deal whichever country can give us. So currently India is able to get the oil because as we know 86% of our oil consumption is dependent on imports. So if we cannot get cheaper oil, we'll have a very high inflation in the country. So I believe working towards the benefit of our citizens would be the first priority.
Despite buying cheaper oil, the oil prices in the country have not come down at all in the last 6 months. Why?
Sir, the benefit has not been passed directly to the consumers because government is taking more the duties or the taxes between them to have.
No taxes have been increased either in the last few months.
Sir, then I'm not sure about it.
Tell me something about Bangladesh. In a few lines.
Sir, Bangladesh is recently facing an economic crisis.
No, I'll ask you to just describe Bangladesh.
Okay.
So start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Sir, if I talk about the history, Bangladesh was also known as the East Pakistan prior to 1971. That is when it was divided and now it is known as Bangladesh. Secondly, the prominent sector is textile sector of Bangladesh, and that is where the majority of the employment comes in. The textiles is really good because the land is fertile from that area, the good land, the part of Bengal as well as the Bangladesh. Thirdly, it has very good relations with India because we have settled many of the disputes with Bangladesh, and recently our Honorable Prime Minister has also started this tourism program Ganga Vilas. The boat will go from the Bangladesh as well. So these three I believe are the salient points.
There are some differences on certain issues?
Yes, sir. Sir, differences related to river disputes are there through the Bangladesh, but that is being resolved by the diplomatic means. So that is one of the dispute. Secondly is the infiltration. Many of the smuggling or the infiltration of illegal activities done from the Bangladesh.
What is the population of Bangladesh?
Sir, I can make an attempt, but I am not sure about it.
How can you make an attempt if you are not sure?
Sir, I can give you a ballpark figure.
Can there be a ballpark figure for population?
Sir, I'm not sure about
Okay, what is the GDP of Bangladesh?
Sir, I can tell you about the per capita GDP.
Okay, sure.
Sir, it crossed Indian GDP. I think it is $2,200 in the
Great.
nominal terms.
And why did it cross Indian GDP?
Sir, textile sector. Sir, they have a very good textile sector and the exports have boomed in the last 1 or 2 decades. Secondly, they have spent significant amount of money in human capital development, such as health and education. So their employment, especially the labor intensive employment has developed. So I believe that is one of the fundamental reason for increase in GDP.
The fundamental reason was that we had a total lockdown, which they didn't have. Indian GDP fell by 8% due to the lockdown.
Yes, sir.
It didn't happen to them. So 1 year they went ahead of us. They won't be next year. Nothing to do with textiles.
Okay, sir.
What is India's GDP at the moment?
Sir, currently is $2.8 trillion. in the nominal terms, and in the PPP terms, it is near $8 to $9 trillion.
What is the PPP terms GDP of China?
So it is more than $25 trillion, somewhere near $25 to $30 trillion.
America?
Sir, a little below than China. I think it's $22 to $23 trillion.
China is 30, America is 25, India is 12.
Okay, sir.
Can you remember the data?
Sir, I'm not sure about the exact
Okay.
figures.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ayush, in the earlier question, in response to the oil trade with Russia, you talked about the justification for India to buy oil from Russia. Now, do you remember that there used to be a term called the transactional politics or the transactional policy? It became quite popular basically because of Trump. Now, do you think in the international context, it is justified to buy oil from Russia as a transaction, that because the oil Russia needs to sell oil, so we buy oil from there, because there are other difficulties in our relationship with them, particularly China?
Yes, sir. Sir, that is correct. The transactional, on the surface, it might look like it's a transactional politics, but I believe India is making strategic autonomy by purchasing the oil from Russia, because we are not in either of the camps. We believe our citizens should be our first priority. So,
I'm not even talking about the camps here. I'm talking about fact that Russia actually is with China on most of the international issues. And Russia actually also had a defense exercise with Pakistan
yes, sir.
5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So I'm talking from that point of view, that if Russia is actually working with the countries who are not with us, should we actually buy oil from Russia and indirectly support it? That is transactional.
Yes, sir. Sir, as I said, on the surface, it looks like transactional, but we are also dependent on Russia on certain aspects, such as the defense arms and other certain things. But at the same time, we are maintaining our relation with the West as well, such as the United States, our trade as well as the security pact. We have signed all 3 security pacts with the United States. So I believe to become a major global power, we have to take certain difficult steps for that.
You have still not answered my question. I was not talking about the USA. I was talking about Russia and China.
Sir, I'm not able to answer.
All right. 2008. As an offshoot of 2008 financial crisis, there was another development which is still continuing. What?
Sir, the banking crisis, the non-performing assets crisis.
No, those are that economic matters continue. G20. I'm talking about G20.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how G20 came to be? What was the origin?
Yes, sir. Sir, G20 was started back in 1998, wherein it came after the Asian financial crisis. Earlier, it was a meeting mostly related to finance, where finance minister and the central bank governor.
1998.
So I think it's 1998 or 1999. Sir, it's somewhere near that only.
Okay, let me carry on.
Sir, then it was majorly related to finance at that point of time. Finance minister, and so there was only one track, the finance track. But over time it developed, and the 20 major countries came together and have 2 tracks, finance track and the Sherpa track. And this year India is hosting the G20 meeting.
When did this happen that they finally had 2 tracks?
So I'm not sure about it.
Okay. Since you are an economic graduate, microeconomics you study, I'm a little uncomfortable with the way Indian economy is going. And I'm a little uncomfortable because there are many contradictions in the way the various indices are behaving. PMI in the core sector goes down. In the case of infrastructure material, it goes down. In certain sectors like food, it goes up, while agricultural production goes down. Similarly, in the case of the way the stock house, again, it's so volatile. Deposits are volatile. Can you give me a pen picture of where Indian economy is going and why there are so many contradictions?
Sure, sir. Sir, can I take 10 seconds to think about it?
You take 20 seconds.
Sure, thank you,
I'm
sir.
going to educate myself on this.
Okay. Sir, firstly, the question where Indian economy is going. I believe Indian economy has faced certain bumps during the last 2 to 3 years, but currently it is on a good path as we compare to our global peers. We are projected to grow 6 to 7% the next financial year as well as this financial year 23. So there are certain challenges, especially in agriculture and industrial sector. But as we talk about the differences in different sector, as you mentioned, the agriculture sector going down or the other sector going up, it's majorly, I believe, is related to the COVID slowdown, because there were several bottleneck and it affected the different sector in a different manner. For example, COVID affected tourism sector more, but when it opened, it shooted back more than its potential back in 2019. So probably due to the pandemic, the sector choked down, and now they will be more streamlined in the coming future.
There is also a speculation, it's not a speculation. Both IMF and World Bank have come to a conclusion that 2013, the world could go through a recession. Do you think that the Indian economy also will go through a recession?
Sir, 2023.
Sorry, yes,
Yes.
23.
Yeah. Sir, I believe world might go through a recession, but Indian economy's fundamental is strong. As as predicted by IMF and World Bank, they have projected Indian growth rate to be more than 5% in the next financial year. So I believe Indian economy has strong fundamental, but still there are challenges such as the fiscal consolidation challenge, because our fiscal deficit is rising very abundantly, more than 6% of the GDP. So that is one challenge. And second is the challenge in the export sector, because when the economy of the world will go down.
More than anything, Ayush, there is a question of domestic demand.
Yes, sir.
With the way the interest rates are rising to control inflation, the domestic demand is going down. When the domestic demand goes down, a recession is just one step away.
Yes, sir. Sir, domestic demand will definitely go down due to the rise in interest rate. But I think, as mentioned by the governor of RBI, is that our first priority is to control inflation, because rise in inflation will also decrease the domestic demand again.
So my point is that with all these measures, isn't there a danger of Indian economy going through recession, because the demand goes down, the production goes down, there is recession.
Sir, I think the government expenditure, especially on the capital front, the capital expenditure in the last two budget, and the expectation in the current budget would definitely be a very big boost. Your point is correct, because private investment is also going down due to the recessionary tendency, but government is compensating on that front by increasing its capital expenditure. So I believe it can generate rural demand at the same time.
You're more optimistic than the governor. Okay. Security of India. You know something about Quad?
Yes, sir.
What is Quad?
Sir, Quad is a relationship between four countries: United States, Japan, India, and Australia.
Is it a relationship or is it a grouping or organization, something of that kind?
Sir, it is a grouping, but it is not a military relationship. It is a communication relationship where they talk about the common issues such as the Indo-Pacific or tackling China.
Only communications? Nothing else?
Sir, I'm not sure about the specifics of it.
Health? Are they working out joint projects on health? Or humanitarian, disaster management?
Sir, I think they are working on the disaster management projects, but I'm not sure about the specific projects related to Quad.
Where was the last meeting of Quad?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure about it.
Okay, one last question. There is a suggestion that Quad should turn into a military organization. Tell me, should we do it? If yes, why? And if no, why?
Sir, I think Quad should not be turned into a military relationship because it can turn as a Asian NATO and that can have grave consequences. Currently, the size of China is increasing and they have border skirmishes. But if we make Quad as a full-fledged military relationship, their skirmishes can turn into a bigger attacks. Instead, I believe there should be a back channel communication in Quad instead of declaring publicly as a military relationship. We should have a healthier relationship on economic as well as the humanitarian ground, and holding hands in the difficult time would be necessary, but having the military relationship can have grave consequences, I believe.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Ayush,
Yes, sir.
you like mentoring school students.
Yes, sir.
So, what has been your experience?
Sir, my experience has been wonderful.
Okay. What lessons have you learnt?
Yes, sir. Sir, I came from a government school. I did not have a good mentor at that point of time. So I think that one of the problem faced by government school students is knowing or what opportunity lies, such as the college opportunity as well as the career opportunity. So some of my learning while mentoring student was learning the art of empathy. When I graduated my Hansraj College, I did not have that kind of empathy or directly relationship with other people. But when you mentor student, you connect with them on a deeper aspect.
Okay, good. So, you also have done marathon.
Yes, sir.
So, you tell me, who is India's best marathon runner?
Sorry, sir, I am not sure
You don't
about
know.
it.
All right. You have also lived in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
You know, the MCD was reorganized. Earlier it was 3 MCD.
Yes, sir.
Tell us why this has been undertaken.
Sir, one of the primary reason was differential in revenues and expenditure. So, for example, East Delhi Municipal Corporation had high expenditure but lower revenue because the land part was not more generating revenue due to low per capita income.
Okay.
On the other hand, South Delhi Municipal Corporation had high revenue and low expenditure. So that created a differential development in the city. So that was one of the fundamental reasons for unification of municipal
And
corporation.
you think it's a right decision?
Sir, I believe it is a right decision because having a more development to underprivileged section, because I also come from East Delhi, because I see many
But
of the
Ayush, do you think that such a huge city like Delhi, 2 crore population, do you think it can be run by one MCD, one mayor, one standing committee? Is it possible, really?
Sir, I think if we are able to decentralize the duty of the people, we can run the entire nation by the central government. Why not the population of Delhi? If we are able to have the right duties as well as prescribe the right departments and have the correct coordination with the government as well, then we can definitely run by single
Okay, so
MCD.
suppose you were the MCD commissioner, you become the MCD commissioner. So, apart from finance, what would you do to make the MCD successful?
Sir, firstly would be the working on the solid waste management system. So that would be my first priority because Delhi is facing from waste management problem. The waste dumps are having the height as high as the Qutub
All
Minar.
right. What else?
Second is the grievance redressal. Sir, I also visited MCD and the grievance redressal mechanism is not that strong.
So, that has nothing to do with finance, right?
Yes, sir.
These are basically streamlining the system. The system is not functioning. So, most of the problem you are highlighting has nothing to do with finance,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. Now, let me move to the next question. The problem on the line of actual control, India-China border. Tell us what has been India's response in the last 2.5 years.
Sure, sir. Sir, can I take 10 seconds to think about it? Sir, first response is to fight back directly and not cede any territory to the China. So it does. So we do not look like that we have a small army or we are not strong enough. So that was the immediate response to the skirmishes both in the Galwan Valley as well as the Tawang Valley. Secondly, having more relationship with the other nation, especially in the neighborhood, as well as better relationship with European as well as the US counterparts. So on a rainy day, they can definitely support us in that cause. Thirdly, I believe in the economic front, we are also making good strides. We are focusing on Atmanirbhar Bharat so that we can have more supply chains in our country. We can have less import dependency of China. Although the imports are rising in the last 2 years, but still we are through multiple schemes such as PLI schemes and the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are trying.
Okay, let's take one by one. On the economic front, what have we done to put pressure on China?
Sir, I think firstly the semiconductor mission which we have launched, we import more than 99% of semiconductor from Taiwan as well as the Chinese companies. So having in-house development.
I'm talking about banning their app, trying to reduce import from China. As you said, Atmanirbhar Bharat, PLI scheme. Has it worked, all of these things, to make Chinese see any sense?
Sir, I think in short term it is not giving us result, but in the long term it definitely can give us, such as on the pharmaceutical
Why it's
front.
not giving us result? Give us some example. Why do you think it has not given us result?
Sir, I think one of the reason is the consumer preference as well as the production preference. Because if suppose if there is a machine and a particular input that is being imported from China, so it takes a time to make that kind of capital investment to change the structure of our production system. So if we have to invest, it can take us 5 to 10 years. Secondly is the consumer preference, because if you see phone like Xiaomi, OnePlus, they have.
All right, last you tell me, what is the latest statistics as far as India-China trade is concerned? Tell us.
Sir, latest statistics was Indian trade deficit has crossed more than $100 billion by
All
Jan.
right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ayush,
Yes, sir.
it's about 9-10 years, around one decade back, this Ministry of Environment and Forest, they sat for a long time in providing the clearance to various developmental projects. You know of that?
Yes, sir.
There was a long delay about so many projects. Environmental clearance was not being given. What do you think? What is the scenario now, and has it changed, or what has happened in that scenario?
Sir, in the 2012, as you mentioned, the environmental clearances were slow, and that is what resulted in slowing down of project and many of the non-performing assets on the economy side as well. I believe currently there is more single window clearances system and environment impact assessment, which has been digitalized as well as made more faster. So the clearances is more transparent as well as faster.
Okay. What do you understand by this environment impact assessment? What is that?
Sir, environment impact assessment is basically knowing the impact of the project on the environment so that we can know how harmful that project could be. There are multiple stages in the environment impact assessment, such as the public hearing, knowing the full research of the project. So to know the future benefits as well as the future losses to our ecology.
Okay. Suppose there is a optical fiber laying in a forest. It is essential to provide 5G services or 4G services to the rural areas. So thousands and thousands of forest or trees are to be cut because you have to go through a forest. Okay. What do you think? What do you prefer? Whether laying optical fiber or protecting the trees? What is your opinion?
So it definitely is challenging for cutting the forest because they are the ones.
Once, if you have to lay the optical fiber, you have to dug the ground, the soil, you have to lay big, pipes of optical fibers, then you have to cut the trees.
Yes, sir.
So, and big trees, old trees, right? So, what do you prefer? Would you go for cutting the trees or would you go for optical fiber laying?
Sir, firstly, I'll see if there are alternatives to the optical fiber cable.
Okay.
Suppose-
What are the alternatives? Yes, come. What are the alternatives?
Sir, one could be the satellite internet is the alternative. We can have the in-house development of satellite internet.
Okay.
That is the one alternative I can think of currently.
Okay.
Um,
And?
Sir, other than that, finding a way where the optical fiber cable does not go directly from a denser forest. So there are certain category of forest. We should not cut our denser forest as well as the land which is more sensitive. So if we can find the alternative, be it can increase in budget of 5 to 10%, we can compromise on that. That could be another alternative to it.
Okay. Now, in this connection, tell me something about what is the forest cover percentage in India geographical. Do you know something about that?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm not sure about the exact number, but it is
Roughly.
21%.
21% of the geographical area. Okay. Now, is it sufficient or should it be increased?
Sir, according to the forest policy, the forest area should be 33%.
33%. It is 21 or 22%, whatever. Now tell me, suppose you are tasked with this thing. So what you are going to do to increase this forest cover in your district? What you will do?
Sir, firstly would be the reclaiming the fallow land. There are...
Reclaiming the fallow land.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that would be the...
That will be the one. Suppose in your district there are no fallow lands. Then what happens? Then how you are going to increase it?
Sir, one alternative could be the behavioral change, wherein we can have a campaign to people to know about that forest is indeed important.
But that is for existing forest. I am asking the increase in the forest cover.
Sir, we can have not the exact forest, but the plantation in the houses. If people have bigger houses, encourage them to have more plantation in the houses. So that could be a one alternative.
That could be one alternative thing. Okay. Now, further, I just wanted to know from you, do you know something about this methane emission?
Yes, sir.
What is it all about?
Sir, methane emission is really harmful. It is being done by, for example, the animals when it comes out of the animal. So it is really harmful for our ecosystem.
Besides animal, what are the other sources of methane emission?
Sir, it comes out of waste as well, because
Waste
it was one of the bigger issue while in the MCD election as well, because the methane gas comes directly from the waste dump,
Okay, okay.
as well as the human beings as
Okay.
well.
It comes from that. Okay, the emission is there. Now you have to treat this emission. What do you do? What you are going to do with it? You have to treat it. You have to.
Yes, sir. So I'm not sure exactly.
You are
about
not
the
sure about
treatment
it.
plan.
You are not sure about it. Okay, tell me something about this cattle population in India. This cattle population, we have lakhs and lakhs of cattle in India. Are they productive?
Yes, sir. It is giving, in fact, employment to many of the people. India is the largest milk producer in the world, and in giving employment, I believe, to many crores of people. Mool is one such example.
Okay.
So they are productive, but I believe they are underproductive because of one, diseases, as well as second, the lower education of people who
rear
owns
them.
them. So government have certain mission such as the Rashtriya Gokul mission, as well as the artificial insemination service to improve the productivity. But definitely we have a long way to go to make them more productive.
In this perspective, there are issues of cow slaughter. There are states where this cow slaughter has been banned, but there are states where it is not. What is your opinion? It should be banned throughout country?
Sir, I think it should be banned throughout
the
country.
Why?
Because even in our constitution, in directive principle of state policy, cow has it is being mentioned that there should not be cow slaughter. At the same time, I believe cow is a really productive animal, as well as it has religious undertone associated with it as well. So having a slaughtering to the cow can definitely lead to problems in the society of a higher level. So I believe banning the cow slaughter
Throughout the country will be a good thing. But in this context, my issue was that there are certain northeastern states, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram, sort of thing. There are number of people, I mean, majority of the people, they are beef eaters. They eat beef. So if you ban everything, then what they are going to do? I mean, you have to consider them. They are also Indian, na?
Yes, sir.
So what you will do? What you are going to do?
Sir, I think providing the alternative to beef would be important, because if you see, the world is moving toward the vegetarian food, as well as the food which is better to health, as well as better to the environment. So I believe we can give them a better alternative in terms of
Because they are the meat eaters. They are the meat eaters. So what alternative you are going to give to them?
Sir, I'm not sure about the non-vegetarian food much.
You are not sure about non-vegetarian. You are a pure vegetarian.
Yes,
food.
sir.
Okay, vegetarian food. My last question is about palm oil. What do you know about palm oil?
Yes, sir. Sir, palm oil is widely used in our vegetarian diet, and it has significant part of our import. We import from Indonesia and thus other Southeast Asian nation.
Which other Southeast Asian?
Sir, I think Malaysia is the other country.
You are right. Huh?
But sir, recently we have the mission, national NMEO for oil palm mission, so that we can have an in-house development of palm oil, because palm oil is one such commodity which raise our consumer price inflation a lot. So having an in-house development can increase the employment of the farmers, as well as reduce our import dependency and the volatility.
What is the import levels of palm oil in India?
Sir, I'm not sure about the exact figure.
You are not sure about the exact figure. Why palm oil is everywhere in your every food items? If you go to a store, more than 80% of the eatable items they contain palm oils.
Yes, sir.
What is the alternative to palm oil?
Sir, there are many alternatives, but palm oil is cheaper, and there is, I believe, no cheaper alternative than palm oil as good as it. There are alternatives such as olive oil, which has been prescribed by many of the
Scientifically, what is the advantage of palm oil as far as its fats are concerned?
Sir, sorry, I'm not sure.
Okay, no issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.